They didn't seem very convincing, so
I'll definitely ban him, he was dodgy.
they didn't very convincing at all. Okay, well, any more? Do you want to say anything? The Derbyshire contingent? All right, well, I'll start.
No. Keeping quiet with Tom Derby.
Throw them in if you want. Hey? Do what? You're welcome, dear. Now listen, it's the 60th anniversary this year of the kerfuffle that happened here in Brighton in 1964. Now I get confused at times because I can't work out whether what happened in our film is actually what happened in 1964. Is it a documentary of what happened? I was watching another film. What was that one I was watching, son?
Scum or what?
Scum? No, that's got nothing to do with it.
What film?
Mods.
The Pebble and the Boy.
The Pebble and the Boy.
Shall I tell you, actually, just before you carry on, the actual real story, what happened here? Because I live in Brighton and I know a lot of the original Brighton mods. The actual fight was not mods against rockers. It was the Brighton mods against the Clapton mods. And they'd had a row just before, and the Brighton mods and rockers were all mates with each other, went to school to each other. They had a little bit of a rivalry, but it was nothing too serious. But the actual row, which is the one that made all the news and everything, was between two groups of mods. That's like, you know, you see that photograph where they're all throwing deck chairs, which is just up here above us. That is the blokes in the picture. The Clapton mods and the Brighton mods kicking off with each other. There's no rockers in that picture. Anyway, carry on.
That is why many people tell me, Brighton, spiritual home of the mods. No, that's Clacton. So this is what we happen. And if you're from the north, it could be Skegness, because that's where the mods... So this is the whole thing where this film that we made in 1978, which is about 1964, is actually, as it's called, created a myth, hasn't it, about... I mean, and lovely, I don't mind. I mean, it was 46 years ago when it was made, but, you know, I'm quite happy. You know, we go around and we talk because the film seems to get bigger and bigger and bigger. One of the things to remember about Quadrophenia is in 1978 when we made it, there was no VHS, there was no, obviously DVD or anything like that. You couldn't play back stuff for another couple of years, so it wasn't in our contract that we would be getting repeat fees. So Mr. Kirbishley, the Who's manager, said to me, because he's a very serious man, Mr. Kirbishley, look, Trev, he said, anyone who uses the word Quadrophenia or the name in anything that we have not allowed them to do, we take them to court. And I know that several people have been injunctioned for trying to use the name. But, he said, we let you lads who were in the film do it because we got you for peanuts, and you know, you deserve to make a little bit extra. He actually said that, peanuts. Phil was very upset. So, anyway, as I say, because I've got cards here so I can remember what I'm talking about, because I'll go off, I'll be talking about all manner of stuff. We made this film in 1978 and it's set in 1964. Now Simon's already told you that not necessarily was the fight between mods and rockers, it was mods from Clacton against mods from Brighton. So immediately you see some of the fiction that is built around this myth. Mr. Townsend obviously then wrote, and I always call him Mr. Townsend, you know, and Mr. Entwistle, God rest his soul, what a marvellous, what a fantastic bloke John Entwistle was.
How much involved with the band themselves in the actual filming? Were they on set during the day? Did you hang out with them? And
John Entwistle used to come down to the set almost every day, and he'd turn up and he'd say, are you all right, lads? Do you need anything? You know, I mean, he was more Ferdy than I was. Right, yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'll say no more. Except he got them from Harley Street in a gold-plated box. But John Entwistle was a marvellous guy, and then Pete would turn up as well. Unfortunately, Pete Townsend wanted this film to be realistic. He didn't like the way that Tommy had gone, and he really wanted Quadrophenia to be realistic, gritty, down to earth. He'd seen a thing on TV called Dummy, young director, 31 years old when he directed Quadrophenia, Frank Rodham. And he liked this film dummy about a girl that couldn't speak who ends up homeless, and it's a gritty drama. So he brought in this young director and he said, look, this is what we want to do. I want a gritty, true story. I'm heading towards talking about Mr. Daltrey. Mr. Daltrey decided that he wanted to play the main part in Quadrophenia as well. So he went up to Pete and he said, look, Pete, I've done well in Tommy, I'm into the acting now. I think I should play the boy in Quadrophenia. And Pete said, what are you talking about, Roger? Mr. Townsend told me this himself. He said, we've got to get someone real who's a teenager, And of course, and no was the answer. And Mr. Daltrey's not a man who likes it when people say no to him, so we didn't see much of him on the set, shall I say.
He was a bit of a shit actor anyway, weren't he?
Well,
he was good in McVicker, wasn't he? But all the rest of the stuff.
Well, that was just him. I mean, he's an hard. Mind you, I saw him, and I said this to him, and he liked me for a couple of weeks. I saw him in a wonderful episode in which he was great, CSI Miami. Do you remember that? He did an episode of that. I thought he was great in it, actually.
Oh.
No, really. But
Was he dubbed over, was he?
yeah. I'm going to tell you a story then, which this one does not leave the room. Right? Put all your phones in a bag.
You're sacked or bashed,
Right? On the first day of filming Quadrophenia here, with the first part we did for 2 weeks were the Brighton scenes of the whole film. And the Frank had taken Phil and Leslie to the Queen's Hotel. We were all staying in a hotel called the Norfolk, which was up by where the other pier used to be.
Right, yeah.
And so I hadn't seen Phil, my closest friend, as I say. And so first day of filming, I come out and I see Phil on the other side of the road. Frank didn't want him getting too drunk and messing about like we were, because he had a big job to do, as you know. That is an epic role he plays as a 19-year-old.
Brilliant.
So I seen him across the road and I ran across. Phil! We're starting today. Right, yeah. All the preparation, the dance lessons. Yeah, Sting had dance lessons. And so, means that, you like that one, didn't you? So, I'm talking to him, we're starting today, and he's hyped up. I can't remember what the exact first setup was, but it was part of the riots. And Mr. Daltrey comes round the corner. Phil, can I have a word? And I was there, I saw this. Yes, Roger? Listen, Phil, I've had quite a bit of experience making films now, as you know. Now, in films, right, they have a little light on top of the camera, and this is true, American actresses, that's the first thing they say. Where's my highlight? I need a light that shines in your eyes, brings your eyes out. It's a very Hollywoody type thing. He said, there's a light they have above the camera, it's called your eye light. Have you noticed my eyes in Tommy, how blue they come out? That's because I make sure I get the eye light, and it shines in my eyes. Now, my advice to you, Phil, right, is look out for your eye light, right? That'll make you. But Phil said, what? He said, your eye light. He said, fuck off, Roger! He was that hyped up and he just went off. That is a true story. No one repeat that one. So, there we are in Brighton. So I've got to look at my second card.
So what happened, what was your scenes in Brighton? What did you actually do? I remember, obviously, the big scene in Brixton where they go looking for you. And but what was your scene actually in Brighton? In
Brighton, I've just usually see me in the hat, floating
just
around.
In the crowd, sort of.
People coming over to me to get what they need, so on. It's an interesting thing about filmmaking. You'll know this as well, Simon, as an actor, is that sometimes the outside, you see an exterior, and then it cuts to the interior, and it's not the same place.
Totally, yeah.
So, this happened, and we'll talk about Kitchener Road later on, but this happened, say, in the dance hall scene where Phil jumps off the balcony. Yeah. Actually, that was shot in London in a club in Southgate called The Royalty. But obviously the exterior is here, so that when it cuts, you think you're in Brighton. Yeah. And the reason why I mentioned that, because I had a big part to play in that, because Pete Braham, the stunt director, brilliant stuntman, and then the director, I worked with him on several TV things, and he was very gritty. You see the fight scenes look very real because that's how Pete did it. Pete Braham said to me, right, It's alright. I like that ringtone. Yeah, tell me what that one
Always
is.
the wrong time. Isn't it?
No, it's alright. So Pete Brown said to me, he said, now Trev, I know you and Phil are close. I've worked with him on TV before. I know you and Phil are close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you with a couple of stuntmen, and if you've ever watched this bit, right, when he gets up there and jumps off, you've got to catch him, because he's your mate, and if you don't, there'll be problems, right? So you see the film, so you'll see me panicking when he's up there, because I'm trying to rush over to get with these two stuntmen and do the cross arms thing that we had to do. Now obviously Phil didn't jump the whole distance, that was the stuntman Colin. You know, that Phil jumped half the way so that it was sort of him. And Colin, being a proper stuntman, stood up there and said, oh, this is a bit further than I thought. I need another couple of £100 to do this one. Because that's what stuntmen do.
Yeah.
I did it on Long Good Friday, I nearly got myself killed coming from under the car.